So we come to number 10, and we notice that we've got inequalities. So it says, what is the solution set for 12 minus 4w is greater than 2 times w minus 18? So remember, the way we can remember less than and greater than is less than, the word less has this L in it. So if I squish that L, that is my less than sign. So I see less than. This is greater than because it's the opposite. So greater than is the opposite. So uh, that's just a quick vocabulary and signal review. So go back to my mouse. So we're going to use our calculator to help us with this. Now remember, in our calculator, we cannot put W's. So we're going to use X in place of W. So I'm going to open my calculator. And I'm going to put 12 minus 4x. I'm going to put these on two separate lines. I've got 12 minus 4x. Excuse me, let me move my calculator so that I can see. And then I'm going to do 2 times 2 parentheses times x minus 18. Close those parentheses. So I'm going to move this over here where the writing doesn't interfere with it. All right, so it says we've got several answers here. And I'm going to zoom out where we can see both of those lines. You can see that it plots these lines, and they actually intersect right here. And so if we remember from systems of equations, we're looking for the variable x. X is my horizontal axis right here. And I can click where these two intersect, and the x value involved is actually 8. That's kind of important because look over here in my answer choices. I see 8 and 8 twice. So be that as it may, I'm pretty sure we're going to have we're going to involve values of 8. So here's what I'm going to do to test my hypothesis. I'm going to take the x out, and I'm going to use x is greater than 8. So I'm going to pick a value that's greater than 8. So I'm going to go to my first equation. I'm going to substitute, use parentheses, and I'm going to pick a value that's bigger than 8. Well, that's 9. I'm just going to choose 9. And I'm going to go down to the second equation, or the second line, and I'm going to substitute that same value, 9 with parentheses. And then I'm going to look at the totals, and I'm going to say, all right, so negative 24 compares to negative 18. So we've got, let me move my calculator over here. The first equation, that value has to be bigger than, greater than the second equation. So I need negative 24 should be bigger than negative 18. But remember, negative 24 is over here. If I move my number line, negative 24 is about right there, if I'm playing on my number line correctly. So there's negative 24, and then as I move closer to 0, or as I get bigger, negative 18 is right here to the right of it. So moving to the right, I'm getting bigger. So this relationship, negative 24, is actually less than negative 18. So that A can't be the correct answer. So it's going to be C, but let's prove it. Let's choose a number that is less than 8. So I'm going to change my 9 to a number that's less than 8. We'll just go with 7. Keep it easy. Go with 7. And we'll see if this is true. So negative 16 is bigger than negative 22, because that's what my original problem states, that the 12 minus 4x should be bigger than the 2 times x minus 18. And we see that that's negative 16 and negative 22 when I choose a value that is less than 8, or one that complies with answer choice C. So I've got C, negative 16, greater than negative 22. Negative 22 is about here on the x-axis, and negative 16 is about here. So I'm moving to the right, which means that negative 16 is bigger than negative 22. That one actually works. And so we remember to use substitution, use two separate lines, use substitution to compare the two totals until you find the correct answer. Another way to do this is to let me move my graph back over here where we can see my answers. So I'm going to put my x back in. So now I've got my two lines back, and there's my coordinate, 8, negative 20. Well, I've got two 8s and a 5. So I can actually go in here and I can put in x equals 8 and look at that vertical line. Well, that vertical line passes directly through the intersection of the two graphed lines. Well, that's great because that means that that's something to do with the solution set. That's an x value. So if I look at 5, let me compare 5. You'll see that 5 passes through both points, but it doesn't share a point in common with both lines. So I need x equals 8. So that's another way to evaluate it. But then you still need to test values to the left and values to the right of x is 8. So you would still test 7 and 9 like you did in the example. If you remember substitution and using your calculator creatively, you'll get every question right.